Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, however you are, wherever you are. Welcome to another edition of Aaron Smith Can't Lose. Thursday, June 6th, 2024. I just decided to do this because I can. And just having fun with it, like I always do. I'd like to thank everybody for listening, all six of you, and enjoying my off the top of my head content and just saying what I say. And it's pretty cool to just not care sometimes. Sometimes I care too much. Like, did a show a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Brian Stoops and Just Edgy Enough comedy show. And like the jokes were not hitting and they weren't, like people either were scared to laugh or not laughing, or they just didn't care. And it made me feel some type of way. But that's comedy for you, you know? It's 50-50. Some people like you, some people don't. And it's usually the same amount of people, same crowd, same comics in the rotation. So I guess they all heard these jokes before. But they also heard everybody else's jokes before and they laugh at theirs. So I don't know. Whatever. I'm at the point where I feel that this shit is just not worth it anymore. No matter how many times I come back and I come in, as you can hear my daughter in the background, that is my priority now, and my wife made it official a couple weeks ago. Shout out to her and my daughter, as I'm recording this from the vicinity of the bathroom. Yes. On the throne, if you will. Not to get too graphic, but yeah. I just, a friend of mine, same thing, said that comedy is toxic. In some ways it can be. In some ways, certain personalities, certain individuals will make it not fun. It's all supposed to be about laughs and having a good time. But there's a majority of these people who make it that way, and it's just not cool anymore. That's why I do it once in a while now. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm over it. I've said this in a previous show a while ago, and it seems like these people just are full of shit. And I'm not afraid to say that. Yeah, I'm not going to name names, and I don't have to, because they know who they are and they know what they're about, and they can care less about my opinion, and that's perfectly fine. But in my opinion, most of you are full of shit, and you don't want to be honest. And if you don't like what somebody has to say, it's probably best to say it in their face, And I'm not an intimidating person. I can look that way sometimes. I can say certain things that, are off kilter, and things that people don't like, and people, it's just like, people are just scared to be themselves. And that's not me. That has never been me. I've never had an issue being myself. However, there are certain things about myself that have changed. I'm not the type of person to just, if somebody, a couple of days ago, I wrote something on Facebook, and then not about an hour or so after that, someone said the same joke. So I put two and two together, and I'm like, okay, so somebody borrowed the joke, if you will. That's fine. But I borrowed that joke too, so that wasn't mine anyway. So I really don't care about that. But what I will say is that if anybody has a problem with anything I say, cool. I'm not going to bitch about it anymore. I have nothing else to say about it anymore. If you believe that 2 plus 2 is 5, you are absolutely right. I don't have time to sit here and argue or debate you over something that is obviously wrong. Or I'm not going to debate you on something that I know that I'm good at. I know I'm funny. I know I'm entertaining. I know I have a good shtick. That day I wasn't feeling it too much. There's a lot of busy stuff going on, but that's no excuse. That was on me. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to laugh what you want. But I've noticed a trend. If you ain't in a certain group, if you ain't down with a certain group of people, they ain't gonna be with you, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to fit in, nor have I ever tried to fit in. And at one point in time, I did want to, years ago when I started all this shtick, but I thought that politics was filthy and nasty, watching it all these years on TV, especially in the last 10 years. But nothing beats backstage politics or comedy at all. And, with their people's attitudes and their underhanded things and the way they talk about it. But if you do the same thing, it's a problem. If you talk about them, it's an issue. And some people will hear this and like, what are you talking about? I'm like, listen, this is just my opinion. This is how I feel. This is how I've always felt about this. Something that I've been wanting to do since I was 5 years old, I don't want to do anymore. I'd rather just run my mouth here on this podcast, which is another quick announcement. As I said in the last show, that I was changing platforms because this particular platform is switching over to something, and it will no longer be free, and you have to be a paid service. And I ranted on and about that too, and I'm like, not everybody has money to do that, even if it is a couple of bucks. We are in a Biden economy, just saying. And I'll get into that too in a minute, but this is supposed to be the final season. This is supposed to be the last season. So I think I'll just wrap it up here and just be done with it and put it to bed. Maybe I'll do another podcast. Maybe I won't. This is more second nature to me now. As you can see here, my lovely wife and daughter in the background. She's been up since a couple hours now. 16 months walking around, and I want to be around for that. And, you can do both, but I choose not to. And, show here, show there, like any friends, the very few that I have in the comedy, I'll come out, support them. I'll hang out with them. I'll continue to talk with them. But this rat race, and that's exactly what it is. It's a rat race. I'm through with it. I'm a family guy now, as I said in the first episode of this season 6, final season. And I'm over it, bro. It used to be late nights and bars and hanging out. Now it's Elmo, Sesame Street, Count. And I'm cool with that. Sometimes I fight myself with it. Sometimes I feel that, maybe it's try one more time. But Yeah, maybe it's God saying, time to move on. And I have spoke to him about that as well. I tell you, I find myself a spiritual person and a religious person. Um, but I have talked to him about that several times, about everything. And that's what you're supposed to do. Build a relationship with God is to talk to him one on one. But that's my view, and that's how I see things. And you're supposed to respect other people and let them be who they will. And that is a part of free will too. But what I get stuck in between is, and I keep going back and forth in, is that when people disrespect me or my family, somebody I know, I tend to go from 0 to 100. And I need to go from 0 to 50, or maybe just a 0. And I'm working on that. But I will always hold people accountable. I first have to hold myself accountable, because if you can't do that for yourself, then you can't do that for anybody else. And I have let a lot of stuff go. There are things that have popped up that I'm like, hey, what the F? And, you shouldn't do that. And I don't really like that. I don't appreciate that. That's life. But this comedy thing, yeah, I see you when I see you, you know? Um, but, I got a friend, shout out to Eurydice Roman, Roman Epic Productions. I'm always plugging people, always putting people over. That's what I do. That's what I'm going to continue to do. That will never stop. But, I'll continue to support people like her. Very few comedians that, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know who you are. Shout out to Chris Vack. He's got a show coming up. Like I said, you can check out his Instagram, all the social media. He's got a show in, I believe it's June 28th at the comedy club out there. And he's a very funny guy. He's another one, very funny guy, bright guy, hilarious dude. And, he's one of the few that, he has gotten that side of the other as well. And I had to invite him on the show. So Vac, if you're listening, hit me up. We got to do one of these days and talk about this shtick, biz, and all that. But moving along, yeah. So we already know it's been like over a week now, and since Trump was convicted of the hush money trial. So basically, he trusted a porn star to keep a secret, and that was his first mistake. And then he paid for having sex for her, and that was his second mistake. And he had his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, lie about it and pay her off. That was a third mistake. And then he tried to cover it up. So, like I've said before, I try to see him not from the political standpoint, just like I don't see Joe Biden from a political standpoint. I see him as people, look at him as a person. And in my opinion, Donald Trump is a horrible person. That's how I see him. Just his character, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks, the way he talks. Horrible person. I don't believe anybody with common sense and a brain and decency should support a man like that. But if that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative. And quite honestly, I believe he has a very strong chance of winning and getting back in the White House. And that's very dangerous. But some people can say Joe Biden is dangerous. And in some instances, he is. Because, he's getting at up in age, and, that's like a cop out, some people can say. And You know, we don't know how long he's going to be there, and I'm sure that Kamala is, getting ready, but we don't know that. It should be a very interesting election season where it has, there are two old white farts that no one is really seriously like, should I, shouldn't I? And it's like the rematch nobody wanted, and I'm a big wrestling fan, and I made a meme about a couple months ago about two wrestlers, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, and they fought in the main event of WrestleMania last year and this year. And I was like, that's the rematch nobody else wanted either. And, I kind of put that pop culture reference on this, how both two matches are equally the same because we've seen this story before. We've dealt with these people before. And it's like, come on, like, really? Like, the fuck. But let's get serious again. Like I've jokingly said that I would vote for Trump. I would never do that. You can say all the things you want. Oh, we had money when we had Trump. Yeah, you did. But that was the previous administration. That was before him. That was Obama. Look at the numbers, Google everything. That wasn't. And Obama wasn't perfect either. Not one president is perfect. However, they are liable for, what they do too. And he's a businessman and he knows how to make money. No. He knows how to keep money and how to get out when the going is getting bad. 7 bankruptcies will tell you that. I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. I hear my lovely daughter grunting. I'm gonna have to put her for a nap soon. But Trump, and I consider him one of the greatest used car salesmen in the history of the world. Because no matter how bad he is, no matter how many things are against him now, how many 9 billion felonies this guy has, he has a fan base and they are strong and they are loyal to the core and they will do nothing but support this man and defend this man to the bitter end. And I honestly, that's like, wow, that is commendable somewhat, because you gotta admit that their determination and their grit to just look at and just make this man something that he's not is like, wow, like it's fascinating, but it's also a little scary, a little cultish, and I don't go back and forth with those Trump supporters. You can't talk to those people. You can't have logical conversations with these individuals. You can't speak with them. I've said that before. And sometimes with these Biden voters too. And it seems like it's like, oh, you want Trump to win and you want him to get elected. You better vote for Biden. Like, why should I do that? And Biden, he fumbled the ball with the Israel, Palestinian thing. He's doing that. He, the economy's not doing so well, and there's things going on with his administration, and not get into his son, a crackhead Hunter, and the way things is going on with him. But we all have family members that got some things and all that stuff like that. And Trump ain't no better with his sons. The shit don't fall too far from the ass. However, it goes back to what I said. When is picking the lesser of two evils going to be no longer acceptable? Because if you're still doing that and picking the lesser of the two evils, you're still picking evil. And I thought we don't do that. But I'll leave that for another show. Um, what else is going on? NBA Finals are starting. Who cares? Unless you're a Boston fan or a Dallas fan. It should be a very interesting series. I think both teams are fairly even. Um, you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the Celtics. They pretty much had a fairly easy ride to the finals. A lot of injuries, a lot of hardcore teams, like my Knicks, which had a great season regardless of how it ended, and they better hire a better strength and conditioning coach next year if they want to have run everybody, get some more people on that squad, and rotate guys better. It's not on the coach. The players are on the field, on the court. That's where it starts and ends. So, I heard a lot of people doing that and saying that, oh, the coach rode him too hard. That's why I had all these injuries and all that stuff. I'm like, listen, it don't matter. It begins and ends on the court. And they had a great season. And they weren't even supposed to make it this far. And I hear ESPN and all these people and that phony ass Stephen A. Smith. Like, he is the fakest fan ever. Like, when they're up there, he's already up there on top of them and having it and cheering them on. When they're down, he's dogging them out. He reminds me of every New Yorker fan of any of our teams. The Knicks, the Yankees, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Mets, the Nets even. All of our teams who are not doing good, he like straight up dogging. Like, he's a cornball and he's an ass. And I'll be on record of that. And he's the type of person that will, in a minute that is not good for him, he's out without warning. Like, he'll throw somebody in the bus. And he's thrown out the Knicks under the bus several times. But that boy is the corny, thickest I've seen in my life. And it don't matter, when it comes to my show, and you can quote me on that. But like, for the 6 people that are listening to this, yeah. Stephen A. Smith, no relation. You're trash. You've always been trash. A lot of these sports columnists too. Skip Bayless is another one. Like, he's the epitome of white privilege, especially when it comes on these shows. And the show he had, he had a whole Shannon Sharp leave the show because he was just tired of the bullcrap. And but I really don't care about the finals, honestly. If I had to do a prediction, I would say Boston will win their 18th championship on total. They just lost one of their icons. They claim to be an icon, Bill Walton, who passed away, I believe, last week, 71. And he had cancer. May you rest in peace. But I like to do that whole thing, honor and tribute and stuff like that. But I believe that Boston will probably win in maybe 6 or 7 games. That's just how I feel. Yeah. And a lot of storylines with that. Kyrie Irving comes back to Boston and played a team that he didn't really do good on, and that didn't treat him fairly on that squad. And Boston has a history of doing that to black players on their team, the Celtics. We can go back to the late great Bill Russell and how they treated him when he was on the team, and he gave them 11 championships out of those 18. 17. More likely to be 18. Excuse me. But yeah. Boston in 6. Um, Still here in New York City, still with the family, still doing with that stuff. Nice transition, right? Um, this place is, the drizzling shits and goes on, and it's like this almost every day, and yeah. So just gotta do what you gotta do and be who you want to be and keep on trucking. So I'm just gonna end this. As you can hear, it's gonna be nap time soon, and I gotta get ready to help them out. So until next time, people. This is Aaron Smith, and I can't lose. Peace.